Okay, it's called to order. Stephanie, do you want to take the roll call?
Sure. Chair Caius.
Present.
Vice Chair Kohler.
Present.
Commissioner Arnold.
Here.
Commissioner Burdo.
He is not present yet. His city council had to have a meeting at 7 o'clock to certify elections. He'll be here in probably 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay. Commissioner Murray.
Yep.
Commissioner Loader. All right. Commissioner Rodoni.
Here.
Commissioner Campbell.
Present.
Commissioner Moody.
Here.
Commissioner Savell.
Here.
So we do have a quorum, correct, Jason?
We do have a quorum, and Commissioner Savell is filling in for the public seat, and Commissioner Campbell will be filling in for one of the city seats until Commissioner Brudo is able to arrive.
Okay, sounds good. James, it'll be nice for what I believe is your final meeting to be seated. Okay, next item is agenda review. Does anybody want to make a motion to approve the agenda for tonight?
I'll move it.
Second, Campbell.
Wait a second.
Second, Campbell.
Second, James. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, we do this.
Okay, next item, public open time.
I'm sorry, Chair Caius, we just do need to call a roll call vote since it's
Okay.
on Zoom.
Go ahead, Stephanie. You can do a roll call again.
Sure. Let's see. Chair Caius.
Aye.
Vice Chair Kohler, I think you called the motion.
No, I did not call the motion. It was Judy and James.
Oh, thank you. Commissioner Arnold.
Here.
Commissioner Murray.
Aye.
Commissioner Rodoni.
Aye.
Commissioner Campbell.
Aye.
Commissioner Moody.
Aye.
And Commissioner Savell.
Yes.
Okay.
I think it passes then, correct, Stephanie?
Correct.
Okay. And thank you, Mala, for checking on me. I'm always happy to have somebody make sure that I'm doing things the appropriate and proper way. Okay. Now, public open time. We have a number of people who are on the line who are not commissioners, so they're members of the public. I suspect that, sorry, I was doing breath mint. I suspect that many people who are on here are going to be making a comment during the item for the Southern Marin Fire in Mill Valley. But in general, if there are any members of the public who want to make a comment, now is open time for those comments.
I see no hands raised and no emails were received.
Okay. Then I guess most people are here for the Southern Marin and Mill Valley item. So next item then, consent calendar. Tonight there are, excuse me, 4 items on consent. Approval of the October 13th meeting, commission ratification of payments, approval of the resolution 2231 for teleconference meetings, and the commission calendar. So does anybody want to remove any of those from consent, or are there any comments about the consent calendar?
I just have I'm sorry. Go ahead, Craig.
Oh, sorry, Barbara. Hey, Chuck, yes, just on item 1, I was not at the last meeting, so I'll have to stay on that.
I'm sorry, Dennis, Craig, I couldn't hear you.
Item 1 is minutes from the last meeting. I'll need to abstain, but okay on the balance items.
So we can leave it on consent, and just you're going to abstain. Okay.
Okay, and my comment is just on the item 4, the April 13th meeting. I have conflicts, and I know that you and I spoke beforehand, and there may be others with conflicts, but it might be better to start polling for a new meeting date if that's the desire of the commission in February, so we're not too far ahead. Thank you.
Great. I need to interject there. If we're going to change dates, we need to do it basically now. And I only say that because our April meeting is when we do our budget. It's also going to be when we have our public seat interviews. And we need to be able to advertise that stuff in January. So if we're changing dates, we kind of need to have that known now so we can inform people of as we're going through those processes. If you want to pull this item for discussion, we can do so. But I don't want to wait until February to have approvals of an April meeting.
Okay, so I'd like to pull item 4.
Okay.
Okay. So with that in mind, we have consent then for 3 items: approval of the minutes, ratification of payments, and approval of teleconferencing meetings. So does anyone want to make a motion to accept and approve consent for tonight?
I think you have to do public comment, Chair.
All right. Okay. Does anyone of the public wish to make a comment about the consent items tonight?
No hands are raised, no emails received.
Okay.
I'll move consent, Judy.
A second, Campbell.
Okay. All in favor?
Actually,
Aye.
I got it. I'm sorry, Commissioner Campbell, Commissioner Bruto just showed up, so you can't be the seconder at this time. You just lost your voting privileges.
Okay,
A
I
different
just want
seconder.
to add that Commissioner Berto's name is Berto.
Oh.
And I would also, hello, Steve. And I would also make a friendly amendment that we're only approving items 1 through 3 of the consent.
Yeah, well, that doesn't need to be done. Since you removed item 4, it's not being voted on as part of the consent calendar.
Okay.
And then just to clarify, we'll do a roll call vote.
Correct.
Okay.
Do we have a second since Campbell couldn't second?
I'll second.
Thank you.
Then Stephanie, will you call the roll, please?
Yes, sir. Chair Caius,
Aye.
Chair Kohler, Vice Chair Kohler, excuse me.
Thanks for the promotion, Stephanie. Just kidding. Hi.
Who
There
run the
wasn't either,
world?
Stephanie.
Okay. Commissioner Arnold,
Aye.
Commissioner Berto,
I am going to abstain because I wasn't at the last meeting, and I think that prohibits me from being able to vote on the minutes.
It does not, but you're welcome to abstain.
Oh, then in that case, then I will say aye.
okay. Commissioner Murray.
That's an aye. Just a reminder, abstention on item 1.
Oh, right. And I put that in my notes. Commissioner Redowney
Aye.
and Commissioner Savell.
Yes.
Yes. And do I ask for Commissioner Campbell and Moody?
No, they're alternates, so they don't get a vote.
Right. Okay, great. Thank you for clarification.
So then the motion passes, correct, Stephanie?
Yes, correct.
Okay. So then let's discuss the item 4, which is the commission calendar. Barbara, you had some comments.
Yeah, so I have commitments on the 13th. I'm looking at Thursdays and the 20th of April. But I'm available. It's not about me, but I'm just telling you when I'm available, which is April 6th, Thursday, and April 27th, Thursday.
I guess the question would be, is everyone else available on one of those 2 Thursdays?
I'm not on the 27th.
Okay, so we're down to the 6th. Is everyone available on the 6th?
Yeah,
January 6th.
Should be okay.
April 6th.
April 6th.
As of right now, I am. But again, that was my reason for wanting to hold off, because 4 months from now, anything can happen to any of us. So for tentative purposes, for scheduling purposes, if we want to change the date to the 6th, I have no objection with that.
I'm available.
Yes.
Okay.
So what I would recommend is taking public comment, and then someone can make a motion to approve the calendar, and if they want to amend it to April 6th for the April meeting.
Okay, any members of the public have comments?
No hands are raised.
I'll go ahead and make the motion to approve the 2023 commission calendar with an amendment, changing the April meeting to April 6th rather than April 13th.
Do I hear a second?
This is Craig, I'll second.
Okay. Kohler motion, Craig second. All in favor? Stephanie, you want to take a vote?
All right. Chair Caius,
Aye.
Vice Chair Kohler,
Aye.
Commissioner Arnold,
Aye.
Commissioner Burdo,
Aye.
Commissioner Murray,
Aye.
and Commissioner Savell,
Yes.
and Commissioner Rodoni.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. Stephanie, we have a pass resolution, pass motion. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, item number 5 is the approval of resolution for annexing 5030 Paradise Drive. So, Jason?
Sure. So in front of you today is the approval of annexation into the sanitary district number 2 for 5030 Paradise Drive. This parcel is in an unincorporated island of Tiburon, but is not directly adjacent to the city boundaries. So what we're looking to do is do what we refer to as our delayed dual annexation process. Normally, we would want to annex any parcel we can from the island into the city or town when they occur. But because this one would create an unorganized map at that point by having one parcel in the middle of an island become part of the town, and it becomes very disorganized at that point, we have the applicant who has agreed to, and has, as you'll see in the packet, has already signed the dual annexation agreement. So in the future, should we ever try and annex that island, they or future generations of people who own that property will not object to the annexation. It's a, for lack of a better term, it's kind of what I always call our bread and butter application. It's someone going off a septic tank, they're doing a remodel, they're required because they're so close to a sewer line to connect to the sewer line by the county. And so we're simply approving them going into the system. We put it out for comment. There was either all positive or neutrals from everyone who returned comment to us. So that is what we have. I do know that we have a very large list of members of the public are here. If the applicant or their representative is here, please turn on your camera or use the raise hand function just so I can see that you're here. And I would encourage you to open public comment and move on with the process at this point.
Okay, before I go to public comments and open the public hearing, any comments from the commissioners? Okay, then I'm going to open the public hearing. So any comments or questions from the public?
I see no hands raised and no emails received.
Okay, then given that, I'm going to close the public hearing and bring it back to the commission. Jason, any other comments?
No, I mean, I think I covered it all in that quick synopsis there.
Do any of the commissioners have any comments or questions?
Chair Caius, I just had one note I wanted to bring to your attention.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that.
I'm sorry. Just for the record, for the commission's interest, I'm not protesting the application, but I just did a cursory look at this, and just to note that on Exhibit A, it doesn't say the physical address. So just for the record.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. So if there are no other comments or questions, Stephanie, you want to take a roll call?
Sure, we need a motion and a second.
Oh, sorry, right?
I'll move the item, Chair Caius.
So Greg Murray making a motion.
I'll second.
Barbara Kohler, a second.
Thank you.
Stephanie, can you take a roll?
Yes, Chair Caius,
Aye.
Vice Chair Kohler,
Aye.
Commissioner Arnold,
Aye.
Commissioner Burdo,
Aye.
Commissioner Murray,
Aye.
Commissioner Savell,
Yes.
and Commissioner Rodoni.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so it sounds like motion passes, right, Stephanie?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Next item, item number 6, approval of resolution 22-33, amending the sphere of influence for Southern Marin Fire and the city of Mill Valley to annex into a new entity. So Jason, I'll open this up to you.
Sure. This is a little bit more of a complicated one than our last application. So let me just go through the process we're going to use tonight, just because it's not one that's common or usual for what we do at our traditional LAFCo meetings. I'll give a quick, brief staff update as I always do on the subject matter, open up for public hearing as we normally do, close public hearing after that's done. I will then give another synopsis based on what occurs in public hearing. And then after that, we will hear from the board president, I believe he's board president of Southern Marin Fire. We were supposed to hear from Stephen Burke from Mill Valley as their representative. Unfortunately, at about 5:30 this afternoon, we received an email from him saying he couldn't attend. So I'm not sure if someone from Mill Valley will be representing that council to speak. We will then hear from Chief Tubbs. And then at that point, we will, open it up for questions to the commissioners to ask whatever they so desire to ask. So giving that as the process, just the quick update. This has been a long time issue with us. We've been working on this for over 2 years now. As you will see, there's a Citygate report. We were part of the process of helping make sure that got done, and all of our answers were answered, or all of our questions were answered in that process. Normally what would happen is we would get an application, and then I would spend the next 6 to 9 months reviewing the application and probably getting a consultant to help me figure out what the application says and make sure everything was correct. But because Mill Valley and Southern Marin Fire incorporated me into the process so early, basically when they started having consultants do their reports, I'm able to accept this application and tell you it's in good shape. Everything that's in there was done correctly. It answered the Citygate report answers all the questions that we would have that needed to be answered for an application. So everything that is there is good. They have a good tax exchange agreements. They have, because this is occurring after December 1st, and they want to start July 1st, 2023. They have all the right stuff in place to work with the county and to make sure that the money is transferred, because the money can't be transferred through the normal state process until July 1st, 2024. So they've taken care of every step of the way. They've looked at every single thing. And they have a good amount of money that's put in there that is the correct amount to transfer from the city of Mill Valley moving forward into the future for the Southern Marin Fire District to pay for all of the services that fire is going to be paying for. So at the end of the day, what we're doing today is in some ways a very simple thing. We're annexing the city of Mill Valley into Southern Marin Fire, changing the sphere of influence in order to do that. But all the legwork that needed to be done, has been done over the last 2+ years. Not to mention, as I was told by the district and city, they've been dating for much longer than that. And it was that dating process that allowed them to decide to get married today. So that's our goal today, is to say yes and bless the wedding of these two districts. The one final thing I will say at this point before we get to public comment is I do see at least 2 members that I recognize from the Southern Marin Fire Board. If there are a majority of the fire board present now, I need 1 or 2 of you, however many get over the majority, to actually leave for a minute so we don't have a quorum of the Southern Marin Fire Board. Mal, am I wrong on that? If
they're allowed, there's an exception under the Brown Act. They can participate in a meeting of another local agency that has been agendized, as long as they're only participating in this agenda item and not talking privately offline. So they are allowed to participate.
I learned something new today. Thank you, Mala, for letting me know that part. So what I just said, ignore. All of you who are board members of Southern Marin Fire, feel free to stay. So with that, Chair Caius, I would encourage you to open up the public hearing and open up public comment.
Okay, well, Jason, thank those opening comments. So I will now open the meeting up for the public hearing. Anyone who wishes to ask a question or make a comment, just raise your hand and we'll call you.
Either use the raise hand function in Zoom, or if you don't know how to do that, turn your camera on and physically raise your hand and we can call on you. Chair, do you want to call on people or do you want me to?
I guess I'll call him. So I see Steve Morlock is raising his hand. Steve, can you identify yourself and your affiliation? And then you can present your question or comment.
Yes, thank you. Good evening. My name is Steve Morlock. I'm the president of the Mill Valley Professional Firefighters Association. And I speak on behalf of all of our firefighters when I say that we are in full support of this annexation. We see this as an amazing and once in a generation opportunity to give the residents of the Southern Marin area the best possible level of service. If annexation is approved, our residents will benefit in many, many different ways, including having a fire department that is streamlined, efficient, attractive, and much better equipped to retain high caliber firefighters for years to come. Our own firefighters will also benefit from annexation through increased training opportunities, increased promotional mobility, and a new sense of pride working for a much larger organization. So once again, the Mill Valley firefighters strongly support this opportunity, and I and us would urge the board to share the same sentiment. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak.
Steve, thank you for your comments. They're very helpful. Anyone else wish to make a comment or ask a question tonight?
I see no other hands raised, but we'll give it a couple more seconds here if anyone wants to use the raise hand function. Not seeing any others. I think you can close public comment in the public hearing at this point.
Okay, agreed. We're going to close the public hearing and bring it back to Jason.
Sure. So the second part of this is we normally don't deal with is we are able tonight to waive the notice, hearing, and protest proceedings for this application. Prior to this meeting, we properly noticed in the Marin Independent Journal this application. We received absolutely zero negative comments towards it. Actually, I don't think we received any comments towards it whatsoever, but we received no negative comments, which means we have the ability at this point, since the public hearing has now officially been closed, to waive those protest proceedings, which will save another, 3 months of work after the fact. So it is a great process that we have, thanks to all the work that Mill Valley and Southern Marin Fire did prior to ever getting us an application. They had the public on board. I remember one comment being made during the when the two councils met together and did their approvals, that no one from the public showed up because the public thought they were already one fire department. So we'll just be actually making that official tonight, should you choose to do so. And so with that, I will hand over to Tom, who will represent the fire district, if he wants to make some comments on behalf of them. Tom, you can unmute yourself.
There we go. Thank you for the opportunity. As president of the board of directors, on behalf of Southern Marin Fire Protection District Board of Directors, I fully support, the board fully supports the proposed annexation of the Mill Valley Fire Department into the Southern Marin Fire Protection District. It is clear that the level of services to all residents within the new district have been enhanced by our longtime shared services agreement and will further be enhanced through the annexation process. Today, we have improved staffing levels, enhanced fire prevention services, and improved wildfire prevention services without increased property taxes. They say that a rising tide floats all boats. The annexation takes the best practices of both organizations and yields improved end user services. In addition, our firefighters, paramedics, fire officers, and staff will see a greater benefit from being a part of a much larger Southern Marin Fire Protection District, just as the members of the Sausalito Fire Department did years ago when they were annexed into the Southern Marin Fire Protection District. All employees will enjoy opportunities that come with an effective and efficient organization fortunate enough to attract and retain quality employees. Having been involved in the Sausalito annexation, I saw and see today a better fire department, commendably responsible to the needs of the community, with a better trained, skilled, and happier staff. As a side note, recently retired staff have all said they were proud to have been with the Southern Marin Fire District following their departure from the Sausalito Fire Department. Thank you.
Well, Tom, thank you for your comments. They're very helpful. And Jason, you said there was one other person who
yeah, I'm not seeing anyone from the city of Mill Valley, any of their council members. I know the one that was supposed to had a last minute emergency. If there is, if they could turn on their camera, and I'll give you a minute. If not, we'll go to Chief Tubbs, who I know wanted to say a few comments as well.
I don't see anybody I recognize from Mill Valley.
Yeah, so Chief Tubbs, why don't you go ahead?
Thanks, Jason. Thank you, Chair Caius and commissioners. As Jason mentioned earlier, Southern Marin and Mill Valley began this experiment about 8 years ago through our shared services agreement. And 2 years ago, we began to dive heavily into the analysis of looking at the possibility of a consolidation. And I want to take the opportunity to share with the commission our deep appreciation for Executive Officer Freed. Jason, I reached out to him early in this process. I had not been through an annexation before, and so I wanted to be able to leverage his experience and knowledge in that process, knowing that ultimately this application would be coming before all of you. So his value is really greatly appreciated by us as he ensured that we analyzed all the elements necessary to submit a complete application to this body. He also ensured that our analyses were in alignment with a complete application and ultimately ensured that what we presented to you tonight was a full and complete package. And I'm really thankful that he was both willing and that we had him involved the last 2 years, because I think it really aided in our ability to stay focused, to ensure that we weren't analyzing down other lanes that were unnecessary to the application process, thereby spending funds unnecessarily. So he really helped us through this process. And on behalf of the Southern Marin Fire District and the City of Mill Valley Fire Department, we're very, very grateful for Executive Officer Freed's assistance in this process. Thank you.
Well, Chief Tubbs, thank you for your comments. It's very helpful. Jason, anyone else that you recognize that you wanted to make a comment?
No, I think that is all. And thank you very much, Chief Tubbs, for those nice words.
Chair, could I make the motion?
Barbara, I would love for you to make a.
I do want to mention briefly before I make the motion that Jason and I went to the Cal LAFCo conference a couple of months ago, and fire consolidations were kind of the big ticket item there. And Jason briefly shared how well this was going. So I'm hoping that maybe at the next Cal LAFCo conference, Jason can present more of the details, because, and I want to say, reading the documents and seeing how well everything was put together, it's excellent. So I'm happy to move this item, approval of resolution 22-33, amending the sphere of influence for the Southern Marin Fire Protection District to include all of the City of Mill Valley and to annex all of the City of Mill Valley into SMFPD LAFCO file 1369 with waiver and notice, hearing and protest proceedings, and finding it exempt from CEQA pursuant to state CEQA guidelines section 15.320.
I don't know if people are hearing me or not. My Zoom dropped there for a moment.
I did make the motion, Chair Caius.
It looks like Chair Caius's Zoom is bugging a little bit. So Vice Chair Kohler, do you want to help us out?
Sure.
I think I'm back now. I heard Barbara, you made the motion, right?
Yeah, do you want to maybe check out and come back in? Because yours keeps freezing up.
Yeah.
I can just finish this one if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Okay, could we get a second, please?
I would second. I had some comments, if that's if it pleases the board or the chair.
It pleases the chair.
Thanks. I just wanted to say, as my first meeting, thanks to staff, particularly Jason, for answering my questions that I had. I didn't have many. This is pretty cut and dry, but thanks to him and to staff and everybody involved with Southern Marin Fire and Mill Valley. All the I's have been dotted, all the T's have been crossed here. This is ready to move forward. I would support waiving the protest provisions. And as Jason stated, this is the result of a long dating process, and we're now at the point where nobody's been ghosted and both parties are ready to take the next step. So I think we should bless this.
Okay, so even though I'm the chair, I made the motion and Steve Berto seconded. Could we get a roll call vote, please?
Actually, I believe Commissioner Murray has his hand up.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Murray, would you like to make a statement? I also see Supervisor Rodoni. So Commissioner Murray, could you please make a statement?
That's correct, Barbara. Yeah, it's time for board to have any comments or questions prior to the vote or during a vote. So I was here, I think, as well as Commissioner Rodoni during the Sausalito annexation. And that one, as folks may remember, was pretty contentious. They had a newly built fire station, and a lot of folks in Sausalito at the time had some concern about the annexation. I remember one of the items that came up was the economic review of it, and the property tax at the time, what I remember, was close to 72% transfer from the city to the special district, the fire district. So I see on page 5 of the report, it shows a 27.8% property tax shift. And I guess the real question is, as fire costs increase, will it be shared, or is there a proportional amount of formula? Perhaps Jason or the person who developed the economic report could speak to that. Just how would that be assured that that's split evenly or allocated on a go-forward basis?
Yeah, so to try and answer the first part, and if I don't answer your question, well, I'll let Chief Tubbs or the consultants answer it, is because of the tax exchange agreement that is done, that percentage you see is what both sides have agreed to is going to be transferred in perpetuity in the future. So once, that was what I was talking about, where we won't see this in the 2020, in July 1st, 2023, it'll be July 1st, 2024. That'll actually show up in the state tax roll system. And so that money will just automatically get transferred. In that interim year, because we didn't meet the state deadline of December 1st, which is understandable given the complexity of this, the city and the city and the district have created a way to actually have that payment done for that year that is between when they want to start and when the state actually will recognize them as being one new district.
So Jason, it's a fixed amount, annual basis, until they renegotiate. Is that correct?
Correct. And I doubt very seriously they'll ever renegotiate because neither side will want to do that.
Okay, roger that. Thank you, Barbara. That's it for me.
Thank you. I apologize for not seeing your hand raised. Commissioner Rodoni?
Hi, thank you, Vice Chair. Yeah, I just wanted to compliment everyone for bringing this forward in a way that's easy to approve. Both our staff here at LAFCo, the Mill Valley City staff, but in particular Southern Marin Fire. I really enjoy working with Chief Tubbs and Chief Welch, Deputy Chief Welch, and the board members there. They really are a top-notch organization, and they really put the thought into this and the time into this to make it right. And I think that's why it's so easy for us tonight to do this annexation. And again, just compliments all the way around. Did a super job. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Rodoni. And yes, this is a real success story. And for those of you who've been on the commission a long time, you've probably seen other things that haven't worked as well. So very seamless. So do we want to take a roll call vote? Stephanie, would you mind doing the roll call?
Yes. Chair Caius.
I am back and I vote aye.
Vice Chair Kohler, aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Arnold.
Aye.
Commissioner Bordeaux.
Aye.
Commissioner, I crossed somebody out. Commissioner Murray.
Aye.
Commissioner Savelle.
Yes.
And Commissioner Rodoni.
Yes.
Thank you.
So Stephanie, I would say that the motion passes.
It does.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. And to all the people who were there in the public, who came here for the public hearing and to support this action, thank you for your participation. And let's move forward and make this a success, which we all expect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so that ends the public hearing items. Let's go to the business items. So Jason, item number 7 is the consideration of the shared resources agreement with Santa Cruz.
Yes, so LAFCOs are, one of the things LAFCOs are meant to do. Hold on one second there. So one of the things that LAFCOs are meant to do is to help agencies find ways to do better shared services. Reality is, has anyone ever looked at what can LAFCOs better share services with other LAFCOs? And that's never been done before. What you have in front of you today is a first of its kind trial balloon, for the lack of a better thing, of can two LAFCOs actually share services and work together in a way that's more efficient? And where this started with is, Santa Cruz and Joe, I believe, who is the executive officer, is still in our meeting, if I'm not mistaken. And I and a few other LAFCOs started talking about how do we share services amongst LAFCOs? Like all of us help each other out. I mean, that already occurs in a lot of ways. There's no formal agreement to it, but each of us help each other out, but it's normally for very limited things. But in our case, the smaller LAFCOs tend not to have specialists in any one area. Sometimes you hire someone who is a specialist in an area, but no LAFCO can have a specialist in all areas covered. And so one of the goals is, can we as a group start coming up with ways where we can share services? For example, Joe is a very good GIS person. He actually understands that stuff very well. Prior to being an executive officer, I think he actually had responsibility for GIS work for a different LAFCO. And he's helped train Jaron on how to do stuff, and he's happy to do so. And that type of work would continue even without the shared services. But every once in a while, we come up with very difficult processes that are beyond what Jaron can really do, and we would need to go get an outside consultant. An example of that would have been Southern Marin Fire Mill Valley consolidation. That was actually a very complicated GIS process to do. Thankfully, Mill Valley, Southern Marin Fire had already hired a GIS specialist to help them out with stuff. And so they lent them over to us to help us do our work as well. So we were able to get that stuff covered because we would have been charging them to do it anyway. So they had their consultant do it for us. So because of that, we didn't need to go to Joe. But in the future, if another situation like that comes up and the district or the applicant doesn't have it, we need to find an outside consultant, we could potentially go to Joe and say, hey, can you help us out with GIS stuff? I mean, and that goes for any number of things. That's just kind of the example that's in front of us today and the best one to use. On the same side, Joe, and I will say this is a little crazy in some ways because he's the only staff person at his LAFCO and kind of wants to keep it that way. But every once in a while, he might need someone to help fill in for something, or he might have a crazy busy agenda meeting and might want to have a second body there to help facilitate that meeting with him. And he might say, hey, I need someone to help. So we came up with the shared services agreement as a way to try and start having LAFCOs more formally work together and have a way to pay each other when we do it. So the goal is, if it's a small project, less than 5 hours in a month, we're going to say, hey, that's fine. That's great. Go ahead and do it. We'll help each other out. When it's a larger project, like, you need me to attend a commission meeting, or I need him to do GIS work or something like that, we would have the ability to pay each other out based on what we make. Our fee schedule has an hourly rate for all 3 staff members. And so that hourly rate is in there. So I already know, hey, if I work 6 hours, here's my hourly rate in the fee schedule. I'm able to charge him. He's able to do the same thing back to us if he's doing a lot of work for us. One of the things to keep in mind is this is only when we're available. If he comes to us and it's in the middle of another big fire merger and I was like, hey, sorry, Joe, we can't do it, he would understand. And this is if we went to him and said, hey, we need help with GIS. He said, hey, I've got this big thing. I don't have time for it right now. It doesn't obligate any of us to do work for the other ones, but it gives us the opportunity to use each other when needed. The long-term goal, and I do know of several other coastal area LAFCOs, coastal region LAFCOs that are interested in this. They weren't quite ready to take it to their commissions yet. But we decided that, hey, Joe and I said, hey, we just got to kick this thing off and let the others join as they see fit. When they're ready to join us, they can and do so. So that's my high-level discussion of the item. Happy to open it up for any discussions or questions that the commission has, or for public comment. And I am seeing Lou, looks like me. Oh no, Lou's there. I'm sorry, you moved your face on my screen. Let me move you back up.
What was that, Jason?
I'm free. You're ready to take over the meeting at this point. I was just looking to see if you were still here.
I think I'm here.
Yep, you are.
Okay. So before we have any other comments from the commissioners, Mal, I just want to get your view as our, legal person, and what your thoughts are about the agreement and this process.
My colleague is the general counsel for Santa Cruz LAFCo, and so he drafted the agreement. And he, when I spoke with him, he drafted it with the understanding that it would include Marin LAFCo and potentially other LAFCOs in the region. So the intent was to make it very equal to all the LAFCOs who may execute the agreement.
So I'm inferring from that you were supportive of what's there and there's no issues that you know of.
Correct.
Okay, good. Any other comments from other commissioners or questions? Craig, I see your hand is up.
Thanks, Lee. Yeah, so interesting concept. I overall, and maybe outside looking in, is we don't have enough work for a deputy executive, and hours could be taken by other LAFCOs to supplement that. I think it needs to be clear that this would be additional to the regular work hours of a work week. And then it kind of gets into, is this considered overtime pay? I do appreciate within the agreement things such as pension that our LAFCO here in Marin has struggled with in the past and finally started to get some clarity. But those would still be obligations in Marin LAFCO if we provide supportive services. So like maybe Mala could kind of speak to this, is this considered to be duties during regular work hours, or is this additional hours to the regular work hours that we're paying a wage and salary on?
It was my understanding, and correct me, Jason, if I'm wrong, that it was supposed to be regular hours. There's no additional hours or extra work. And I think that's what Jason was getting at, about being able to turn things down if LAFCO is not able to do it at any given time, any of our staff.
That is correct. That this is meant to be during regular work hours, and if we are too busy to help out another LAFCO, they understand that we can't help them at that time.
Okay, that sounds good. I mean, that would supplement our budget, receiving dollars from, in this case, Santa Cruz for Jaren's available time to backfill that. The other thing is, and city government, I imagine county as well, there's an employee-employer document to be signed agreeing to kind of the shared work or secondary jobs while you're on the job. So I take it this agreement would oversee that we wouldn't necessarily, Mala, need to have any other sort of agreement between ourselves as Marin LAFCO and that particular employer.
Commissioner Murray, just so you're aware, we are non-unionized, and so those agreements are between the union and their employers. Since we're non-union, we don't have the same restrictions because our employees have never unionized.
I think we follow the county, and county would still provide.
Try and follow similar practices to the county, but we're not obligated to do what the county does because we are non-unionized, and that's our policy. Our personnel handbook has all those clarifications in it.
Jason, I understand, but I believe we still receive representation, even though the members are not designated union members.
Nope, our employees do not get any representation from any county unions.
Interesting point.
Okay, and just Craig, you cut out, so I think you finished. But excuse me, just to expand a little bit on Craig's concern, my direction to Jason on this is that we would not, agree to go forward with work that would become a burden on Marin LAFCO that would prevent us from doing our basic duties and functions to support the Marin LAFCO issues, and that secondly. We should not let any other LAFCO who's using our services, become completely dependent upon us to do some kind of work. So those are the two, caveats that I discussed with Jason, and he seemed to think we're fine. So just again, expansion, Craig, on what you said. Barbara?
Yeah, I just wanted to say when we were down at Cal LAFCO, I met Executive Officer Serrano, who is a stellar individual, and at least the understanding that I had at the time for what the relationship would generally be with Santa Cruz is Jason would provide executive officer responsibilities if, for example, Joe needed to be out, and Joe would provide GIS. I think we do need to step cautiously if we start using staff to make sure that it's within the time frame. But I also want to say this was presented at one of the Cal LAFCO breakout sessions, and while nobody was interested in bringing it to the boards at that time, there was quite a lot of excitement about this concept, and I want to thank Jason and Joe for really cooking this idea, because it can supplement our resources with really no effect. So thank you.
Okay. Any other comments or questions from commissioners? Then I'm going to open it up for public comment. Joe, it looked like you had your hand up.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening, board members. Joe Serrano, the Executive Officer of Santa Cruz LAFCo. I really appreciate the opportunity to address the commission on this item. As Jason mentioned, this is a unique opportunity. LAFCOs, we encourage shared services and resources of the local governments, and LAFCo needs to preach what we, do what we preach. And, we always look for ways to improve. And I think this is an opportunity for all LAFCOs to really, maximize our resources. No one goes to school to become a LAFCO employee. So we become experts in our own field. And so if Jason just accomplished and spearheaded this annexation with these two fire districts, he has that knowledge. It'll be great to utilize that knowledge, and vice versa. I've been able to work with other LAFCOs and with GIS and with web management. A lot of LAFCOs, they're small, they have small staff, and they're not web gurus. So instead of going out and trying to do an RFP and hire someone to do their web management or just upload an agenda packet, if they just reach out to Santa Cruz LAFCo, for example, I can do that in minutes, rather than having to deal with someone that will cost several hours. So there's opportunities here that we can just maximize our resources. And this is, I believe, Marin and Santa Cruz LAFCo are going to be the leaders in these kind of the new normal of just really maximizing what we have. And so I'm happy to present this to my commission at our next board meeting, which is in January. I'm pretty confident it's going to be approved unanimously. And I just really appreciate the opportunity to say that Marin and Santa Cruz LAFCOs were the first ones to champion this effort. So thank you for the opportunity.
Joe, thank you for your comments. Anyone else from the public like to make a statement?
I see no other public hands raised, although I am seeing Commissioner Savell raise his hand. So once we're done with public comment, you might want to call.
Once we're done with public comment, Rick, you can make a comment. Is there anybody else from the public?
Nope.
I don't see any. Okay, let's close the public comments period. And Rick, you had a question or a comment?
Well, no, I had a comment. I just wanted to thank Joe and Jason for, as they trailblazing on this. It seems like something so obvious it was hidden in plain sight. But as far as how it's laid out, I think as long as it's subject to availability, as you said, Cherokee is, and the billables have been worked out, I think it's a great idea. So I look forward to seeing that come into play in the process. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Rick. Anyone else have any comments or questions before we bring this to a motion? Seeing no hands raised, I think we need to take a vote on this to make sure we all agree. So do I hear a motion to move forward with this agreement between Marin LAFCo and Santa Cruz LAFCo?
So moved.
Steve, motion, second?
Second, Rodoni.
Dennis, second. Stephanie, you take a vote?
Yes. Chair Caius?
Aye.
Vice Chair Kohler?
Aye.
Commissioner Arnold?
Aye.
Commissioner Burdo?
Aye.
Commissioner Murray?
Aye.
Commissioner Savell?
Yes.
Commissioner Rodoni?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Okay, good. Well, Jason and Joe, let's see what happens with this. Expecting big things, good things. Don't have to be big, just good.
Yep.
Jason, I'll send you my bill for attending this meeting.
Don't worry, when I attend you, you'll get the bill back.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Good.
I'll have to attend one of yours then and send you a bill.
There you go.
Okay, let's go to item number 8. Jason, this is a proclamation for departing commissioners Arnold, Connolly, and Campbell, 2 of which are here tonight. But Jason, I'll turn this over to you.
Actually, I'm going to turn it over to Deputy Executive Officer Siebel, who will take lead on this item.
Yeah, so thank you, Chair Caius. Before the commission this evening are three commendations for our commissioners, Judy Arnold, Damon Conley, and James Campbell, for whom this will be each of their final meetings. Have served for many different lengths of time, all very much appreciated throughout their service, both in Marin LAFCo and Marin County in general. I would yield to you, Chair Caius, for any comments that you might have, or to turn it to the floor for any comments that other commissioners would like to make on this item before approval of the commendations.
Thank you, Jared. Judy, I just again want to say it's always good to see your smiling face there. You've always been supportive and positive in your actions and interactions here on the LAFCo board, and you're kind of a steady rock for all the period that I've been on. So we hate to see you go, but I'm sure we'll be seeing you at different points in the future, and we wish you well in all your endeavors.
Thank you so much.
And I wish that Damon were here. I'd say pretty much the same thing with Damon, but since Damon is now off doing, things as the newest assembly member in Sacramento, I'm sure that he's going to be, well consumed with his tasks and with his activities in Sacramento. So I wish him the best as well. James, you haven't had quite the same, opportunities to get deeply involved with things, but nevertheless, my interactions with you have always been positive, and I will miss you again being on these meetings and your supportive attitude toward these, and so I wish you well in whatever you're going to be doing. So with that in mind, before we ask Judy and James to make a comment, let me, Barbara, you have your hand up.
Yes, I would like to say a couple of things. So I think it was last week I was in a meeting with Judy where we said our goodbyes, and I think she cried afterwards and I cried afterwards. Judy has been a rock on so many things, and I know on LAFCO in particular for so many years. And I know that Judy assisted when the Novato MSR was hitting some troubled waters. And Judy really definitely helped with that, as well as Jason. So Judy, you're going to be missed so much. And I'm going to cry. Your shoes are really big shoes to fill. And I know you're going to have more fun, and you won't be sitting on these meetings with little boxes. But your wisdom, your experience, your just good nature, and like I said last week, we had some laughs too. So thank you. And to James, I've had the opportunity to know James through LAFCo and really enjoyed him being able to sit in at times, even if just for 5 minutes tonight. And James is truly one of the smartest people I've known, just like Judy. And he's quiet and unassuming like Judy, but really gets things done in a really concise way. So thank you both, and I will miss you both terribly, but I have a secret. I get to see James at my gym all the time. So that's my fun.
Thank you, Barbara.
So Craig, I see your hand is up.
Thanks, Lou. So I want to thank all three. I think done a great job. I appreciate that Damon's moving on, and I hope he remembers us here at LAFCo. James has always been attending our meetings, very good input. One of the other unique things is he's not drawing a fee from these meetings. So kudos to James, and might be our first commissioner to do that. That's well taken. I did recognize that, so I thank him for that. Judy worked through over the years. She's been extremely supportive, and that kind of Novato solid rock here in LAFCo. We've had issues with her only, say, a growth boundary being in Novato and still wanting to do shared service and just getting through things and making sure groups work together so we do have good shared services and recognizing where we have need. One of the things is, as a special district member, we did not have representation on this county-wide group. That's a disaster. service group. There's upwards of 19 members with schools and Red Cross and things. So I met with Judy. Judy was very open to it, saying, come on, meet with me. I met with Judy and we developed this, brought it to the Board of Supervisors, and through 2 meetings and a little bit of work, got that approved and had special district representation now on the county for very important things, like we were talking about fire district annexations today, and issues that are important to us in fire, flood, and services for Marin. So I appreciate Judy as well, and really appreciate those with longer tenure and service here to Marin County. And I want to thank all for their service and best wishes as we move forward.
Thanks,
Greg. Any other comments from commissioners?
There's a hand up.
Then I'm gonna open it up to the public. You qualify as public, so your hand is up. Go right ahead.
Hi, this is Catherine Hilliard, and now I'm not speaking only for the Southern Marin Fire Board, but I'm also the president of the Marin Women's Political Action Committee. And I want to particularly thank Judy. We honored her earlier this year for her service even before becoming a county supervisor, and in her role assisting very important legislators and legislative action, and also the many committees and ad hoc committees that one serves as a member of the Board of Supervisors and CSAC and all of these other organizations. It's been terrific. And I'm really want to thank you for breaking so many of the glass ceilings that we face as women. You were really a pioneer in doing that. And so I'm hopeful that even though officially you are retiring from LAFCo and other things, you'll still be around, and we would love to have you come and join us. Thank you so much. And to the other 2 in the resolution, my extreme thanks, because public service is so important, especially now. Thank you so much. It's Catherine Hilliard. Okay.
Catherine, thank you for your kind words. Okay, so I'm gonna close public comments. Jason?
Yeah, I just wanted to say a few words as well. Wanted to thank Commissioner Arnold, Supervisor Arnold, for all your work and help. When I first started here, I did not understand how Novato area worked. And with the Novato MSR, I learned very quickly. And you were the one that educated me on how things work up in the Novato area, which everyone always says their area is special and unique. Novato is a special, unique area. And you definitely helped me understand the processes and the people to talk with and how to get through some of the hurdles that I inadvertently caused at the beginning of the Novato MSR process. So wanted to thank you for that. I think Commissioner Kohler might have stolen my notes on that, as well as my notes for Commissioner Campbell, because I was going to say you are probably one of the quietest commissioners I've seen here, but you also, when you do speak, you say a lot with a few words. So I wanted to thank you very much for all of your thoughtfulness that you put into everything that you do, and your willingness to be here every meeting, even though you don't necessarily get a vote at every meeting, but your willingness to show up as the alternate has always been appreciated, and ability to step in on a moment's notice and say, oh, I can vote on this item because I've paid attention to the issue throughout the process. So thank both of you, and I'll save my comments for Commissioner Conley for another day when I maybe get to see him in Sacramento at some point.
All right.
Thank you, Jason.
Nice.
So what I'm going to do here may be a little bit out of order, and Molly, you can slap my wrist if you need to. What I'm going to ask is for a motion in a second, and then the vote on the documents for the 2 commissioners. And then after that's all taken, everything's official, I'm going to give Judy and James a chance to make their own comments. Okay. So do I hear a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, let's let Commissioner Berto take that.
So Steve, did you make a motion?
I believe I did. Let the record reflect.
Okay. Stephanie, why don't you take the roll?
Yes. Chair Caius.
Aye.
Vice Chair Kohler.
Aye.
Commissioner Arnold.
I guess yes. Should I abstain?
Oh,
nice.
No. Commissioner Berto.
Absolutely. And thank you, Judy and James.
Commissioner Murray.
Aye.
Commissioner Savell.
Rick.
Rick.
It looks like he may, no, he's there.
Commissioner
Rich
Savelle?
looked like I did earlier.
He doesn't hear it.
Commissioner Savelle, you're unmuted, so all you have to do is say yes or no, please.
I'm sorry, I lost the audio. I couldn't hear it. Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Rodoni?
Yes, and thanks to all.
Thank you.
So the motion passes. So we do have these items, and I'm sure that Jason can, make arrangements to print those and present those to you, officially. But as part of this, again, Judy, want to make a statement? Feel free. You have the floor. Thank
you. Well, the work here at LAFCo is so needed, and this was new to me. I wanted to be on LAFCO because I thought, in reading what the job was, that this would be something that is important, and it certainly has turned out that way. And I'm just so happy that I've been able to serve here. I think you have a great board, and I've enjoyed all of them, and I wish you all the best. And I thank you for what you do. This is a hard job, and you're there and you do it, and thank you for that.
Thank you, Judy. And James, back to you.
Thank you, Chair. I want to live up to my reputation, but I did want to say a special thank you to Judy, who I've had the pleasure of working with on TAM and for a short time on LAFCo. And I admire you greatly. And I think the county is better for having had you. And I know we're all going to miss you in a leadership role. And thanks also to Jason and Jaron and Mala for guiding me through the LAFCo process while I was here. And to all my colleagues, thank you.
Thank you, James.
And just the last point, I'd like everybody to unmute your microphones and a round of applause. Judy and James. Good. Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
If we were in person, we can now break out the champagne, but we'll have to do that virtually.
Yeah, I was told there would be cake. That's the whole reason I applied for this appointment.
Well, next time we're together, you can bring some cake, Steve.
Yeah,
I'll bring the champagne. You can bring the cake.
We normally offer pizza, not cake.
Answer the doorbell, Steve.
Okay. Item number 9. Keep going.
All right. So item number 9 is our last business item of the night. Something that has been transpiring and like a bug in my bed for quite a while is how Marin Map works, and is it the best, most functioning thing for us? I, for the most part, have allowed it to sit and lie there, and have just we are a member of Marin Map. We pay annually $10,000 to Marin Map to maintain it every year. I've always been curious if there was a better way for us to have our mapping system, GIS mapping system done. And I should say there are 2 parts to the GIS system that are out there, and I want to make sure we're clear. There's the backbone, which is Marin Map, and then there's the user, and there's how you use it on the user side. I'm only talking about the backbone side, the stuff that Jaron doesn't do. It's how you create the system that the general public can go and look at. Marin Map is a rather old system created a long time ago. It was created specifically by the county to help all of the member agencies that are part of Marin Map do their GIS and share things. So, it's a good concept. Unfortunately, within the last few months, they had pretty much everybody who had any knowledge of how the system works leave. Some retired, some resigned for other positions. And because of that, and it's an old system, issues have been popping up. You'll see that earlier in the agenda, we had the 5030 Paradise Drive application. If you go into the main, what I call the main Marin Map viewer, the one that most people use, you can actually find 5030 Paradise Drive. If you go into the LAFCo approved district map, which is our own special version, which has what we need in it to do our jobs, you cannot find 5030 Paradise Drive. It turns out that it's listed in there as 5020 Paradise Drive, and no one within the core of the Marin Map system understands it well enough to know how to change it. That's not a slight on the current staff. It is a very unique system, and the people who created it left. It's kind of like what occurred with everyone in the year 2000 when everyone used to use 99 and then 2000 and you had to make things 4 digits. Well, you had a lot of systems that are very old that they had to go and find the people that had retired and bring them back to fix the system to make it 2000 compliant. That's kind of what's going on with Marin Map. You don't have those people here anymore who know how to fix everything. They fix some things. I don't want to say they can't fix anything. They do fix some stuff. But through this process, and this so happened that we were working with the GIS experts that helped us with the Southern Marin Fire annexation, we were making a comment like, hey, we've got this issue. Like, would you have any understanding how to fix it? And they go, well, they looked at Marin Map and said, it's kind of an old system. We really wouldn't know how to do it. But we could probably create something for you that might be a little bit better and more modern. And I've always argued that given modern technology, you could probably buy off-the-shelf software and things and create your own system that would be probably cheaper to maintain, cheaper to use, easier to use. The problem is it takes a few hours of research and time to come up with a good study to tell you how would you do it and what would those costs be. And so the folks who helped us do all the Marin Fire, the Mill Valley, Southern Marin Fire consolidation maps and stuff said, hey, they can do it for just under $2,000. They could create that report and tell us, here's how much it would cost you if you were to go on your own and wanted to run your own system. I know that the county is looking at updating Marin Map and possibly like throwing it all out. They're in the process right now of doing it, from my understanding, Jaron, correct me if I'm wrong, and this is a year-long study to determine what do all the member agencies need, study it for a year, and then come back with a solution. We're kind of going to be shortcutting that and saying, what do we as just Marin LAFCo need, and can we create an alternative that would work for us? Because clearly, not being able to find addresses, not being able to find things in the system and being told, oh, well, you just need to know the separate addresses there, but not knowing what that address is until you go to Marin Map and they say, oh yeah, we figured out this is what you need to do, is not, to me, a workable solution that I would like to have. So for, just under $2,000, we can do the research, come back to you in February and say, here's what we found out. So my request at this point it would be to approve the not to exceed $1,960 agreement. We are using a BBK sample contract, so we know that it's good and clean. Just have to fill in the blanks for the process. And so that is my request today, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, Jason, thank you for that report. I don't have any comments to make on this, so I'll open up to the commissioners. And I see Craig, you have your hand up.
Yeah, hey, Jason, makes total sense to have this service. And just a real general question, it seems like this is within your purview to purchase, but perhaps you wanted to bring this forward to the commission to discuss it. This would be something, myself as commissioner, I'm totally fine and within your purview to do what's right to make sure we're operating efficiently.
Yeah, you are correct. This is potentially within our purview. It's a new contract, and so if it was a contract, it probably needs commission's approval. But it was also more of an opportunity to see if there was an interest to say, no, we want to stay with it. We want to stay within the Marin Map family. We don't want to even think about leaving them and just stick out, wait to see what occurs with the county system when they do their study and eventually build out a new system should they go down that path. So it was a combination of both of those items, because I would hate to spend $2,000 to find out, no, you have no interest in actually leaving Marin Map and we should stay within Marin Map's process.
Todd, you raise your hand?
Yeah, we have a new relationship with Santa Cruz now. Well, I guess we have half of a relationship, correct? Anyway, can you use your Santa Cruz colleague for this?
No, Santa Cruz would be, their GIS work is what Jaron does. It's the front side, what I call the front side, the public facing side of it. We actually need someone who can create the system that the public can actually use. That is not what Joe is good at. He's good at doing the public facing side, not the backbone side.
Oh.
Okay. Dennis, you have your hand up?
Thank you, Lou. I'm supportive of staff's recommendation. What I wanted to mention to the commission was I was on the commission many, many years ago when Marin Map came and was presented to us. And I was a little leery of it at the time because they sold it as you're going to make money if you join us. You'll be getting more money back than you're putting into it. And it never, ever eventuated. And I think Judy remembered Marty Nichols, former county administrator, was the leader of this to get this organized under the MGSA, I think it is. And anyway, so it never proved to be what it was supposed to be, which was pay you back if you were an early joiner. And I do think it's of an age that we need to take a look. And so I'm supportive of what staff is proposing.
Okay. Thank you, Dennis. Steve, you have your hand up.
Yeah, like Dennis, I'm supportive of the recommendation as well. I had a quick question for Jason. I don't know if you would know or not, but do you have an idea of how many platforms they're going to be kind of evaluating or researching?
No, that's part of what they're going to be doing. They're going to be coming up with what their recommendations are and what general prices are for each of those things. That's why we need them to do it. Is I don't even understand what that even means to a degree, other than I understand there's multiple platforms out there.
Right. That makes sense. And I was actually really impressed by the price point too. That seems really, reasonable in terms of the type of service. So yeah, supportive.
Okay. Thanks, Steve. Any other questions or comments from commissioners? Okay.
I just have
Barbara?
one. Sorry, quickly. Jason, it's interesting that you're providing kind of this background of what's happening with Marin Maps. And I wonder how widely it's known because, for example, Dennis is our president. Steve Berto and I also sit on Marin Wildfire Prevention Authority. And we became an official member of Marin Maps. And we're saving money from going with ESRI. And and Catherine as well.
I was going to say Catherine too.
Yeah, I didn't see that Catherine was still on. Thanks for staying, Catherine. And I'm really wondering how widely this is known that this is a little bit of disarray and it may take some time and that people left and there wasn't succession planning or, it's really, do you know how widely it's known that there's some problems over there?
To be fair, I don't want to categorize it as problems per se. I think it's issues rather than problems. And we are semi-unique in that I'm not sure how many others actually have their own, for lack of a better term, section of Marin Map that is really dedicated just to them. When you go to the LAFCo approved map, it is really like a website dedicated just to us. And so it's separate from, in some ways, the rest of the build. And so like they're constantly doing other things in other parts. And every once in a while, they do these other things in these other parts and it bleeds into our system. And then we tell them, hey, what did you do? And they go, oh, we didn't realize that went over into your system. And then they take it out of our system and fix it. So I'm not sure if it's unique to us because we have a very specialized system that is just us. And so because we are so small and tiny and quiet for the most part, they tend not to think about us too much. Although Jaron does serve on the executive committee for Marin Map. That's one of his responsibilities. And so I think the people within the system are very well aware of what's going on. I don't think the people at your level are as aware because they're fixing it internally. It doesn't get necessarily up to the level of the elected officials and key leaders.
Okay, well, it sounds like Dennis has a pretty good awareness of the issues there. So thank you for bringing this to us. And I think for a technical memo, which is basically kind of a scope of work, we'll learn more about next steps. So I support it.
Okay. So again, I'm going to open up to the public. Anyone in the public, excuse me, wish to make a comment or ask a question? There no hands raised, so bring it back. Do I hear a motion to approve the award of the $2,000 for a consulting technical paper?
I'll move it.
Barbara motion.
Second.
Judy second. Stephanie would take the roll.
Correction, it's for an award of $1,960. I would like to be that specific.
There I go, misstated again, Jason. I'm glad you keep me honest.
I'll accept that friendly amendment.
That's why I employ an accountant to keep track of all my accounts, because if I had to balance my checkbook, it would always be $20 off. Stephanie, go ahead.
Okay, Chair Caius.
Aye.
Vice Chair Kohler.
Aye.
Commissioner Arnold.
Aye.
Commissioner Berto.
Aye.
Commissioner Murray.
Aye.
Commissioner Savell,
Yes.
and Commissioner Rodoni. There you go. Commissioner Rodoni, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. I thought I said aye and turned it off again. Thanks.
Thank you. Motion passes.
I think Lou is either frozen or asleep.
I'm going to assume he's frozen and just go on to the executive officer's report.
All right.
Okay,
And
Jason,
as I
will you
normally
take
do,
us?
yeah, he just dropped off completely. So
Okay, well, let's, Jason, will you go through the executive officer's report, please?
Sure. As I normally do, for those that might be new to this meeting, I normally rattle through each item. I don't really stop unless I look up and see that you raised your hand and are wanting to ask a question. Otherwise, I just rattle through them and don't stop unless I see a question. So first on budget, you know, as you see, we are doing fine overall on our budget. There's always a couple of line items that, you know, we pay a lot early and then we don't pay any more for the rest of the year. So those individual line items are over budget right now, but for the most part, we are doing fine on budget. The one line item that, you know, should be that we probably may end up the year over with is miscellaneous services. That's where we traditionally have had our meetings put into that. We also, since we became our own payroll system, we started actually putting our payroll in there too, and the two didn't align together. But now that we're actually starting to have, we had our in-person meeting for the workshop and other things, that line item might be a little bit over. I'm going to be coming back in February with an update from last year's budget and where we ended up, and potentially recommending that we increase that line item by a few bucks, just to be on the safe side of things. But overall, we're in good shape on our budget. So for current and pending proposals, I do have one update that's outside of there. Since this staff memo was written, we did receive a letter that we were CC'd on, both Mala and myself, about 255 Margarita. They have yet to turn anything in. Their deadline is tomorrow. They did not ask for an extension at this meeting, which means if they don't get stuff turned in tomorrow, and Jaron is already scheduled to be in the office all day tomorrow, so if they show up last minute, they will be able to squeeze in. But it's unlikely that they're going to get everything completed in time because they need sign-offs from the district, and I don't think the district will be able to do that in one day. So the district did hold a meeting on December 1st and has this week, we got, as I mentioned, got a letter from the district to the applicant saying if they don't complete things, that in January, they're going to be having a public hearing about disconnection. So they've already started that process in anticipation that he was not going to complete his application by tomorrow's deadline. So we will follow that process in January, and I'll follow up with you in February as to what transpired with that whole thing. But just wanted to give you that as a heads up that the district is taking it seriously now, and will be looking to disconnect if the applicant doesn't come into service. My guess is going to be he's probably going to do something at the January meeting with the district, and we'll end up having to come back to us for a new application, at which point we have to charge him all our fees again and do this process all over, because that's just how the process has to work. So that's the update on 255 Margarita. On that, we had two other applications on the agenda today. Cal LAFCo update. I'm going to let Jaron start with legislative updates, and then I'm going to talk about the conference, and we'll yield to Commissioner Kohler if she wants to add anything after that.
Yeah,
Jaron?
so in your packet is just a end of the year informational report that Cal LAFCo gives us. It's going to show you all of the bills that Cal LAFCo was tracking through the past year, how each one turned out. In August, I gave you a specific report on the two bills that we as Marin LAFCo were tracking with the omnibus and SB 938. With the new legislative session starting this week, this is just something that Cal LAFCo provides to let everybody see how everything turned out that they tracked throughout the year before we roll into the next session.
And so, as Barbara mentioned earlier in the meeting, we did attend the Cal LAFCo workshop in October. Barbara and I kind of split up the breakout sessions because they would have two breakout sessions at one time. So I would go to one, she would go to the other. I will say in all the ones I went to, we seem to be on par or doing better than most LAFCOs in all the areas that I went to. Some of them do a little bit more work, but then they're also larger staffs, the ones that do that extra work. But I think given our staff size and what we do, I think we are in very good shape and are kind of a a leader in the Cal LAFCo world as far as what we're doing. And I will yield to Commissioner Kohler if she wants to add anything to that.
Yeah, I just want to say it was, LAFCo is kind of a niche type thing, but I will tell you that people that were there were genuinely very excited. And I learned quite a bit. In fact, as I mentioned earlier, the fire consolidations were kind of a hot topic and they had a little workshop on it. But I think Jason and I felt that there should have been a little more attention to various different ways to do it, sort of like what happened tonight. And so that's why I think Jason should present something next year on really how's the best way to do it. But I will also tell you, just meeting other people from other LAFCos was really enlightening. And particularly, I was most impressed by the executive officer of the Orange County LAFCo, a brilliant woman who worked herself up from a clerk and really had incredible ideas of using LAFCO processes to achieve things at a very different level than we've talked about. So I think she's a real superstar. And I would encourage people to consider going in the future. It is a niche thing. You have to be into LAFCO stuff, but I always get excited about learning new things. And also with Jason there, who's really well respected and a real leader. I got to meet a lot of people in leadership and really felt like I came away having a better knowledge of what we do, and also how other LAFCOs do things maybe a little bit differently. So I think it was worthwhile. And I want to thank Jason and LAFCO for allowing me to attend. I will admit something. I was the voting delegate, and I thought these votes would take a long time. So I went to get a coffee or something, and Jason was busy texting me saying it was time to vote. And I mean, seriously, I thought it would take a while. And it was like 5 minutes, and I already missed it. But our person that we were voting for, there was nobody else running. But I was so embarrassed, and Jason handled it very nicely and didn't shame me in front of everybody. So I apologize for shirking my responsibility.
I will refrain from giving you any demerits for that.
All right, so Commissioner Murray, did you have a question on that?
Yeah, just a question on the legislation. So AB 2081 looks like it's chaptered. That's municipal water districts, and extension onto tribal lands now requires LAFCO approval. And just checking, does Marin have any tribal lands or locations that we should be concerned with?
We, to my knowledge, have no state or federally recognized tribal lands within Marin County.
Okay, great, thank you.
Although I'll yield to the supervisors if they know better.
I think I would say something. You may have to do some consultation at some point, even though we don't have federally recognized tribes that I'm aware of in Marin County. If there's an annexation that's going through property where there may be remains, and I'm sure Dennis and Judy can add on to this, we've entered into consultations with the Great Rancheria. So there may be something about this that we have to think about. Dennis or Judy, do you have something to share on this?
Only say that Grayton is the federally recognized tribe for Marin County, and that we, CDA and DPW deal with them all the time, involving them in projects. And so it may be worth checking in with your colleagues at the county to see how it may or may not affect us and how we determine if it does. So.
Okay, I will take note of that.
I thought Miwok was within the Novato area.
They're not federally recognized. So the Great Rancheria represents the Miwok and the Ohlone. And so that's why we enter into consultations with the Great Rancheria.
Okay, yeah, but it's new state law. I'm not sure if it's specific to
It always is
non-federal.
specific. It always is specific to federally recognized tribes.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. So moving on then, you have correspondence in your packet. You can see that we received 2 awards from SDRMRA. So you have those in there. Congratulations to us for not having any workers' comp cases or anything like that for the last 5 years. They're happy that we have that, and it helps our actual payments that we make to them for insurance purposes. So those are in your packet. And then finally on my list of things is the LAFCo commissioner seats. You'll see starting tonight, we are going to be going through a pretty big transition of commissioners over the next few months through May into our June meeting. Tonight, you see Steve is here as our new member. We will be having, with Commissioner Campbell retiring from his seat and having to give up his LAFCo seat accordingly next Monday, that we will be swearing in a new Mill Valley member. Stefan from Mill Valley will be our new member as the alternate. And then, so you're aware, the special district seats are going to be the Lou's seat and Todd's seat are up for reappointment. Their 4-year term is expiring. And so the Special Districts Association will hopefully be doing its stuff to get those elections taken care of. I understand Commissioner Moody will not be asking to be reappointed, so there will be an opening for the alternate seat at the very least. So that'll be at least one new person. As we know, Commissioner or Supervisor Arnold and former Supervisor now Connolly are leaving. We will be getting at least 2 new members from the county. And so that's 5 seats that are going to be changing from this meeting through the June meeting. In addition to that, our 2 public seats are also up for reappointment next year. And so starting in January, staff will be putting out the public notices and doing all the things that we need to do. We technically could start now, but I figured with all the holiday stuff, it's not the smartest thing to start now. We'll start after the first of the year with all of our public noticing processes. And at your April meeting, you will likely, which will probably be our first in-person meeting that isn't a workshop in a few years, we will be having the appointments, the appointment or reappointment of our 2 public seats as well. So there is a lot of seats that are up and changing at this time of the year. We went through quite a good period of solid commissions and commissioners not changing over, but we're about to have that all change. And so I just wanted to give everyone a heads up that we'll probably be doing more of these accommodations over the next few meetings because more people are going to be leaving us as time permits. So that is all I have for that part of the report. I did want to add just a few things just so you're all aware. I will be taking off from December 19th and coming back to the office on January 3rd for the holiday break. I'm taking some vacation time, plus the office in general is just closed the week of, as per our policy, between December 26th and January 2nd. The office is just dark altogether. So if you need me for anything, feel free to reach me before anytime next week. The week after that, Jaron will be, as our deputy, will be in charge of everything. So if you have any problems, that week is the perfect week to take all of your issues with LAFCo and bring it to us and let Jaron know what you want changed or fixed, because I'll be on vacation. The one final thing I will add to this section here is I do want to see, and I see, Craig, that you have your hand raised. I'll call you in a second. I do want to see, just by a basic show of hands, how many people are using our shared drive system that I showed? I know, Commissioner Kohler, that you said that it wasn't working for you, but I want to see how many others does it actually work for. I'm seeing Commissioner Bruto, Commissioner Rodoni. Are you the only 2 that are using it? All right, we may end up just canceling that system and going back to Dropbox then.
I've never gotten a connection through it.
Okay. I clicked on it and it didn't do anything.
All right.
I got it way back
Same
when
here.
Olivia was here, but it was such a complicated, weird thing.
Yeah.
It was a pain in the neck, but.
All right. I may just be ending that experiment then, because it's just not working well enough for everybody. It is a shame in my mind, because it is actually a good system if we could get it to work correctly. But if we can't get it to work, then it's a terrible system. So we'll probably just be going back to Dropbox then in the future for everything and not have to worry about that other system. Craig, did you have a question for me?
Jason, you may have answered this, but while you're out on the 19th through January 3rd, staff, even though the office is closed, staff is available and responsible if anything comes up. That's correct?
The week between the 26th and the 2nd, no, staff is all off. The office is completely dark.
Okay, it's still open the 19th and 23rd.
Yes. Yeah, that week the office. Remember, we have our office open day is Wednesday, but the staff will answer phone calls on any other day.
Okay, thanks. Just checking.
Yep.
Hey, Jason, one other thing. I just forwarded to you from San Bernardino LAFCo and the balance of the Marin LAFCo staff. CSDA was good to allow me to attend San Bernardino County LAFCO session update from Richard Watson on the Public Records Act and Brown Act, some updates. So for good the staff, I provided those PowerPoints to you. There might be some good gold nuggets in there.
Okay, I'm assuming that you're doing that under Commissioner announcements and requests. And
yeah, I was going to say,
sorry,
Jason,
sorry if
report?
I am done with my report.
Okay, so now we can open it up to Commissioner announcements and requests. So Craig, what was that you were saying?
Well, that was it. I already made that presentation, but basically there's some good information coming out of San Bernardino County LAFCO that I provide the staff and choose to share it.
Okay. Barbara?
Yeah, just should we expect to see the Golden Gate MSR in February?
Jaron, I'll yield to you to say, can we guarantee that at this point?
99.999%. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any other commissioners have comments, questions, announcements, requests? Seeing no hands raised, I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting for tonight until the next meeting, which is going to be February 9th.
I'll second Lou if you need it.
Okay. Second, Craig. I'm going to say all in favor, just raise your hand. Sorry, Mala.
You can just bang the gavel and you're done. You don't actually have to take a roll call on that.
Okay. Everybody, since we won't be talking before, hope everybody has a good holiday and end of year. And we'll pick it up after Jason comes back from vacation.
Perfect.
Thanks.
Everybody.